Hi, Sandra.
Hi,
Okay, so how would you describe your unique directorial style and vision?
I believe I'm a formalist. I value style a lot, visual and auditory style. So I have an unique way with color. I want very saturated tone. So I always have like my colors are really big, highly saturated. I also have a liking for low key light, so high contrast. So a lot of shadows. I enjoy that. In terms of sound, I love music and special effects. So I always add those to my films and my projects. It's a bit out of the norm, unconventional, especially for the Kenyan market, but I think it makes me unique.
Okay, yeah. Then, what specific element do you think defines your work as a director?
Visual style. I think my visual style speaks for itself. Someone told me once that my style is so distinct. When they watch a film, they know that it's smooth, maybe. So I think that's a good way to describe what I do.
Then, can you identify recurring themes in your films, and how do they reflect your personal worldview or experiences?
I think one of the most recurring themes that I focus on, not only with my films but also my books, are identity. I lean a lot on discovering yourself, also changing identities, how the world around us affect how we perceive each other and ourselves. So identity has been a recurrent theme in most of my work.
Then, who are your who are your major influences in filmmaking, and how have they shaped your approach to directing?
Hmm. It's hard to pick one person, but I like director Bong, Parasite. Yeah, I love his work. I think for me, Eastern media has always been a significant part of my growth journey. I like how they depict emotion. Eastern media is largely emotion based, and I think that's something that has been very lacking in our work. One of the reasons why we claim to be world leaders in storytelling, in visual storytelling film, but we are not yet there. I think it's because we don't tap well into the emotional bit of it. So I try to lean on that. Yeah. And I think when I watch like films like Parasite, I'm able to see the dimensions of that. I also watch a lot of anime. So anime also influences the reach in terms of storytelling. How far can I push the envelope? I think the point of discomfort is where we need to lean into as creators, as storytellers. So I'm glad that I'm able to do that.
Okay. And are there any particular films or directors that inspired you to pursue a career in directing? And how do they continue to influence your work today?
I think, as I mentioned before, Bond, yeah, I love his work. I also um have been inspired by Stanley Kubrick, I think. Yeah, I can't remember the second name. Yeah, I love James Gunn. A lot of experimentation there. Some authors. Um, I try to do films that make me stand out, like Nolan. Yeah. When I lean closer to Africa, I can't say that there is one particular person that has inspired me because I pick from across the board. Yeah. But when I think about the basics of what African film was, I lean back to films like Sarafina because they were films that transcended the season. Yeah, right now you can still watch Sarafina and feel a certain way. Yeah, films like Hotel Rwanda. So we watch such a film, the emotions that went throughout the whole narrative from beginning to end. You feel a certain kind of joy for it. Yeah. So quite recently, I remember watching Graffiti, and beyond the controversy, I liked the visual style of the film, and also I also watched the dog. I thought the dog was quite interesting. That was 2025. Yeah, I felt like the director had a very unique, authoristic style, especially the cats. They were very abrupt in some areas. that were very experimental. I thought that was so cool. So I realized that as a creative, I speak a lot from across the board. Yeah.
Okay. Then can you walk me through your creative process from conceptualization to the final cut? How do you maintain creative control throughout?
A bit of an author. Yeah. So one thing that we learn about authors is they tend to work with the same thing over and over again. People who understand your vision and they can maintain that vision from pre-production all the way to post-production. So with that in mind, I am a planner. So I plan everything. Not only am I a bit of an author, but I'm also a formalist. So I value storyboarding, shortly. So by the time we're sitting, I know exactly what the film should look like at the very end. So I've already cast the film in my head. I know what I'm going to place where, what kind of music I want here. So from scripting all the way, so I script and then I do my shortlist. And then from the shortlist, I do storyboard and overhead for complex light scenes, especially when light and movement is happening. And then from there, we do casting. Normally, casting, I lean into also working with people I've worked with before, people I know I can trust who understand my method. I am very punctual, so I don't like to start overrunning the time that we had displayed. So you see, when you work with people who understand that, they come on time, so it doesn't hinder creativity and practicality of everything. So by the time we are shooting, we already do dry run, pre-shoot. We do pre-shoot with like phones, where you know how the set will look like, everything. And then by the time we're shooting now the final, we already know exactly where someone is going to stand. We tend to break down things by day. So we do a scene a day, so a location a day. And maybe sometimes if there's in the same location, right, we do two scenes that day, but then mostly for interior shots. But then for exterior shots now that becomes a bit tricky because the exterior shots concerning maybe the sun, so position of the sun. So you may need to shoot only morning or evening because we don't do overhead sun. Yeah. So things like those. After shooting, normally the editing process, I'm normally very involved in it. If I'm not editing, almost all the time I like to edit my own project. I like to sit and edit my own project because I find it much easier. I do understand that as the project grow, that may be difficult, and that's why I like collecting my own group of people who know my process and how I work. Yeah. So post production is normally very centered around the initial vision. I don't change much. Yeah.
Mm.
So because I write what I can create, and if I can't, we challenge ourselves because towards shooting it. So very rigid, constructive, but by the time it comes to fitting, there's a lot of thought put into it. So I trust in what we decided as a team when we began. Mm.
Then how much input do you allow from collaborators, producers, writers, actors? Yeah, during your filmmaking.
It's very hard as an author to listen to people. It's very hard, especially when we do not agree on the stylistic vision or the narrative vision. So we are clear to that the narrative itself and how we tell the narrative. So it's very hard for you to have differing opinions after sessions. So I tend to involve collaboration process even before we shoot. So before we choose, because I'm a planner, I'll come up with a short list. We'll discuss it with the team. This is how we want it. So when we shoot, I don't accept changes after editing. I just have to work with the initial plan that we had. So I find it sometimes difficult when you work especially with new collaborations and they don't understand this process. Um, it could say something about the kind of director I am or the kind of collaborations I have. But then I also like to work with people who are not like shaky in their thought process. So you know exactly what you want, and at the very end, you you abide by it. Yeah. So not people who keep changing their minds and they don't know, they're not sure about themselves. Yeah. So I'd say that I try to limit collaborations largely because a lot of people are not sure about their processes. So when you're not sure now, that brings in conflict, they bring in uncertainty in their film production process, which now becomes an issue. Yeah.
Then Are there specific technical or stylistic choices, yeah, that you consistently use in your film? And what purpose do they serve in your storytelling?
In terms of technique, one of the things that I like to consider is good camera. There's nothing like low light in shooting. Yeah, even film that comes out as low light, they shoot it light. So they editing the shadows sometimes. So you have slight shadows and then you enhance them in post production. So I always try to have a lot of light on set, even if we're shooting night scenes, and then we edit that out for quality. And then in terms of lighting, we do 2 point lighting a lot, and I've been working with background lighting, which is something I didn't do before, and I'm really enjoying that. And then in terms of sound, I like to also record audio separately because I want to have more control over the post production of the sound. So I like to record audio separately. When I was starting out, I had a big challenge with sound because of equipment. But now with the technology that's coming out, sound equipment is becoming more readily available. So that's a good thing. So I'd say I put a lot of effort into the image itself. And I learned that light is one of the main things that affects the quality of the image. And then sound, most people neglect sound. And I did neglect sound in the beginning, but now I understand that sound is also an important part of what we do.
Then, how do you approach the use of music and sound in your films? Do you collaborate closely with composers and sound designers to achieve your vision?
We collaborate when we can. I discovered that it's very hard for someone to give them your music. Yeah, it's not that easy. But then we have people who have the mindset of sharing and also collaboration. So those ones are normally amazing people. So you find a way to collaborate. We have a lot of musicians who create music for our project. So they go, they create a beat. Some of them even sing, some of them even produce a song from scratch. It's always an amazing thing when you have a musician who's willing to give their time and effort to your project. That's always amazing. You beat the copyright uh issues later on. You also have a unique product that is catered to your particular project. So collaboration is a part of what we do, and I'm still excited always when I meet artists who want to participate.
Then, how much of your personal life and experiences are reflected in your films? Can you give an example of a project that was particularly personal to you?
uh, okay. I lean into emotion. Yeah. So when I look at, let's say, pain, I try to look at how pain felt to me as an individual and try to empathize with the character. Yeah. So things like those. So normally I don't lean into actual events that happen to me. So those are personal and private. But I lean into the emotions that come with those events. So when I write, I lean into emotions. So look, and the consequences of actions and emotions. Yeah. So how did I feel after this? I felt bad when someone did this to me, right? So now that feeling I get is what I put into the project. Yeah. So something like that. If I could say a personal thing that happened to me that leaned into my work, I guess my search for identity, discovering myself comes a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of influence for Kenyan filmmakers from Western media, from other filmmakers. Also you want to learn so hard you start mimicking. Yeah, so things like those affect how we create films. But then over time, we start to develop a way that works for ourselves there. So for me, I'd say identity was one of the things that leaned hard into my production. Yeah, not only mine, but also my friends, my family. Yeah.
Then, do you think it's essential for a director to have a personal connection to the stories they tell? Why or why not?
No, I don't think you have to. You don't have to have a personal connection with a story. I think the moment that we have a personal connection, we become subjective and we stop thinking objectively. the moment you start thinking that, oh, this story is my story, so I have a personal stake onto how the character behaves, what the character says. Now you refuse to give that character autonomy. They don't have agency. And the moment a character does not have agency, but they are living your fantasy, they stop being themselves. They start being what you want them to be. Yeah, according to your personal biases, your own personal struggles, maybe your own dreams, your own virtues, you know. So I try to disconnect my characters from myself. Yeah, beyond just leaning into like if the character is in pain, what do I know pain feels like? Beyond that, I try to let them have their own agency, their own autonomy. Yeah.
Okay. How has your style and approach to filmmaking evolved over the course of your career?
In the beginning, there was a lot of taking it to make it. Yeah, it didn't have the right equipment. I remember the first film we shot. We only had one LED light, one LED stand. We were using torches to light up the scene. You know, things like that. So there was a lot of take it till you make it. I remember once we were shooting one of the short films with a lapel mic, and the lapel was wired. So the after every time the actor moved, it scratched the wire and it recorded the sound. So when we weren't monitoring the sound or shooting, so we ended up having very noisy audio. And then we tried to do a voiceover, so it looks like those these dubbed films that are not dubbed too well. But then those are lessons, yeah. So I think one thing that I've seen is now I have access to better equipment at still an independent level, but still better equipment than what I had before. So the technological advancements in the whole industry have also affected the quality of work that I'm turning out. So that's always a good thing. Yeah.
Then, looking back, which is which of your films do you consider the purest representation of your auteur vision? Why?
Hmm. I think Paint the Spectrum was the best definition of my vision because it's a film first that it was written because I was watching my god sister's child and we weren't sure whether the child was autistic and we were seeing us ourselves navigate watching that child find their space in the world and find their voice because they were nonverbal. So that was something that really shaped how the film went. And for me, one of the things that I wanted to have was very warm lighting and then also very colored lighting, illustrate mental distress, something like that. I remember using shifted POV for the first time. I remember us guys strapping the camera to the forehead so that we can have that POV of the hands and the body moving, you know. So for me, there was a lot of decision making onto how perspective really matters, you know, the perspective of the autistic girl in the film and then the family around them. And I was so happy when it got into list of film festival. So that was a really good achievement for the whole team for an independent film. So I really like Princess Spectrum.
Then, are there any future projects or genres you're particularly excited about exploring? And how do you plan to imprint your author signature on this new venture?
Mm. So one of the things that we've been thinking about, me and my team, has been making one of my books into a film. And the first one that we were looking at is called It's and Butterfly. It's a it's a pseudo fiction based in a country between Kenya and Ethiopia. So even from the point of we took the geographical region and put it in the book, the north of Kenya between like the midsection and the above. So the northern part of Kenya from Mount Kenya upwards. So that physically is the location. So that whole region is a very colorful region. We have desert, we have forest, we have very interesting natural places, you know. And some of that physicality is what I'm challenging myself to put on film. So that would be something that I really enjoy. Also, the film has to the language, so it will be interesting to watch the language come to life. Yeah. It has music, it has movement, dance. It's a post-war country, so all these things that I'm excited to bring out. Yeah.
Okay. Then, how do you foresee your directorial approach evolving in the coming years? And what new themes or style are you interested in experimenting with?
Mhm. I think I'm just gonna lean into formalism, but on a very experimental scale. On experiment a lot with the Kelvin scale and how colors can reflect on each other, not only just color theory, but also lighting and color theory. So that's something that I'm looking forward to practice. I've been doing a lot of research considering the project that we're about to embark on. So that's something that I really want to make it stand out for being different, you know.
Yeah.
I don't wanna spend like, cause this is maybe 5 years of work on the book alone and maybe 2 or 3 years. That's about 8 years I'm gonna put onto this project. And I don't want it to just look like any other film. I want it to look so unique, so different.
Okay. Then, do you think in Kenya film is rewarding to directors?
Hmm, it is rewarding, I will say. Some of the biggest projects I ever did, they paid really well. They were doing documentary filmmaking. They weren't feature films. So it was documentary filmmaking. I think it's rewarding when you remove the fiscal value from it. So remove money and look at the whole project as a whole. The project will not only give you a sense of achievement, and if it gives you money, you're very lucky, but it will also create a platform for you to move on in your career. So that's something that I really value.
Okay, thank you. That's
Take two. Take two.